So, as you can see, the next deck list that I'm doing is my Astral Force Hieratics, and I figured I might as well document this since I am still in the process of working on vanilla rulers, and it's probably, by the time the next local comes around, I should have the deck completed and should be able to take it to a local and see how it goes. So obviously it would mean that this would have to be taken down since I need some pieces out of this deck. Basically the premise is it's pretty much standard pure Hieratics, not with any dragon rulers and stuff like that, but it also incorporates Astral Force to rank up a tomb into some more powerful dragons that can make bigger plays and push for a shit ton of damage. That's basically what the whole idea is, aside from what deviates it from a pure hieratic build. Of course, like a pure hieratic build, you know, you pretty much have to, if you're pretty much going to make a push, you got to make it count, because if you don't, you're in top deck mode, and this deck does not top deck. It just doesn't, which kind of sucks, but that's the way it works. So, I'm just going to get through with the list. Triple Tefnut, the Cyber Dragon of the deck. Always nice to have one of these, and along with any other of the hieratics, especially Sue. You have Tefnut Sue, one of these. It's pretty nice to have. You can just eliminate some back row, get your vanillas on board, and get some more field presence with your big dragons. E-Set is pretty much Nebthet's little brother in a way. I think it's actually a female. I'm not actually 100% sure. I can't remember for the life of me what the Egyptian deities and what stuff like that these were based on. So it's a bit of a thing. But yeah, E-Set, like a bit of a younger sibling. Normal summon it, becomes 1,000 attack. Of course, you can contribute it to bust out other hieratics and stuff like that. As it is a pure hieratic build, it's no surprise that we're seeing Nebthets, running 3 of them. Nebthet, of course, has its own unique little niche in that, you know, you can blow stuff up. If you're staring down a bit of a deadly monster that you can't really get over with brute force, then just drop a Nebthet and blow shit up. For the vanillas, we've got Luster Dragon, Wattail Dragon, and Cursor Dragon. No point in really running Labradorite since I don't run any Synchros in here. This is basically about as pure as it gets in terms of the vanillas and stuff like that. And once again, don't run a second Wattail Dragon, because you never know what you'll ever come across. You know, Changes Appearance is a card, not that it's ever really played nowadays, but it can be a thing. So we have Darkness Metal, because he's just the big boss man. Triple card for the pluses. One Honest, just sort of, it's actually kind of a tech, to be perfectly honest. But it's a light-based deck. Of course, it's going to work to an extent. Then we've got Gauze and 2 Trag. They're the only hand traps I've got. Like I said, this is sort of a deck that's basically supposed to sort of like push all of its stuff and commit to a shit ton of damage. So for stuff like, if I was like to run Max Seed, it'd obviously be sided, and I've got one sided anyways. So to start off the spells, we have the other main centerpiece, what makes the deck tick, Rank Up Magic Astral Force. I run 2 of them because 3 is shown to clog up a fair bit. Plus, of course, this has its own recycling effect. You can just recycle it back to your hand. The only issue with the recycling is that you can only special summon with this card during the turn you recycle it. What it does is you target the face-up Xyz monster you control, well, target the one Xyz monster you control with the highest rank. If it's tied, it's your choice. Special summon an Xyz monster with the same type and attribute, but 2 ranks higher. Now, reason it makes it good in Hieratics is because it has it has the only rank 6 light dragon built into its archetype in the form of a tomb, and there are a grand total of, I believe, 6 rank 8 light dragons in the game. Plus, of course, this you can also make stuff like Photon Strike Bouncer, which you can go into Fellbrand. So that's always nice to have. And that's basically the whole gimmick with this thing. It's basically just, it can do like the standard hieratic plays, but it also this basically expands on them, allows you to run some unique sort of stuff. You can basically turn a tomb into a Heliopolis and not have to worry about getting a level 8 vanilla and an E set to just copy the level 8, because that's just a bit weird. So for the other spells, there's the double convocation, which is standard. The double duality, again, sort of standard. Like, I don't really like running 3 duality in this sort of deck. I'm a bit weird about running the 2 duality, but I like it just so I can see the card cards and then use the card to see something like a track so that I don't auto die on my opponent's turn. So now I have 2 Forbidden Lance, 2 Wing Beats for field clearance. It is so monstrous in combination with Tefnut because you can just special, return, special again. 1 Day of Peace is again to just get your combo pieces. And a Book of Moon just in a means just to, I suppose, just prevent your opponent, once again, sort of like stall tactics. Traps, 3 Reckless Greed. Again, you need to get to the combo pieces. I'm not running upstarts because I just do not like giving my opponents free monsters to dig out of their grave with Soul Charge. It's stupid. And then 2 Traps done. Basically, if you flip this and you can get the combo off, you pretty much have game. Unless your opponent drops something like Battle Fader. For some reason, I actually think Battle Fader is more likely to be seen nowadays than something like Gauze, because nobody really runs Gauze as much anymore. So, for the Exceeds, I'm going to start it off in... I usually go in descending order in terms of ranks. I'm going to start off in ascending order with my 5s. So I've got 1 up Arsenal Zenmaier, Volcasaurus, Shark Fortress. Shark Fortress does the double attack sort of shenanigans, more damage on board. Volcasaurus is Volcasaurus. I don't think I have to establish what it is. Zenmaier was in here for a good reason. I would have Tyrus, but I do have a legitimate reason for running Zenmaier, as you will see soon, or if you can see, or if you can make logical sense of the way that the deck works, you may actually have an idea about what I can use Zenmaier for. Rank 6s, we got Gauntlet Launcher, Ptolemy, Strike Bouncer, and then the triple Atomb. Basically, the 4 major ones you want here are the Atombs, obviously, as I said before, and the Strike Bouncer, because you can rank that up as well with Astral Force. Ptolemy and Gauntlet Launcher are basically other additional options. Like if your opponent drops Max C, you can basically just make a Ptolemy, get back one of your used up Hieratics, and then just wait until next turn to do the combo when the opponent should hopefully not have a Max C unless they're maining 3 and have stacked. But you know, that's really only something that certain people do. Leonard. But yeah. But Gauntlet Launcher is basically also the second option that I use. Basically, it's the whole gimmick purpose of the one I go for is basically dependent purely on the capability of the deck to go into something like primarily Crimson Blader. If you can go for if I'm up against a deck that I know can drop Crimson Blader, I'll go for the Gauntlet Launcher in defense so that the Crimson Blader can't get over it. If I'm not really as concerned against Crimson Blader, so if I was playing something like maybe Constellas or Spirits or some jazz, I would go for the Ptolemy and just sort of sit on that. But otherwise, that's if the opponent doesn't have the Max C, I just go for the Atomb, get shenanigans, rank it up, and do a whole bunch of that jazz. So then we have to start off the rank 7s. We have the double Gaia Charger, which is pretty much obvious for any hieratic deck. And then I'm also running a Dracossack, because it is the same type and attribute as Zenmaier, as you can see right here. So you can use Zenmaier, blow up 2 of your opponent's back row, and then rank it up into a Dracossack. So Hieratics, not running Dragon Rulers, but still capable of rolling Dracossack. It's kind of obscure, and it's nowhere near as likely to happen as I personally would like for it, but to have the option there to make this thing is good. I mean, there's a reason why it's still freaking worth a shit ton of money. So I'm gonna run it, and I'm gonna hopefully get as much as I possibly can out of it. So then for the main attraction in the form of the rank 8s that I use, I only run the 3, A because of space, and B, because these are essentially the absolute best cards to run with the rank up Magic Astral Force. We have Heliopolis, which basically, if you've got something like Darkness Metal already in hand, you can just use your Tomb to get another Hieratic just on the field, rank up into this, and then tribute that Hieratic to blow up another card on the field and get another vanilla, which, if you like, you can get something like Curse of Dragon, which you can then just banish to put Darkness Metal on the board, and then you can use Darkness Metal if you already used something like Wartail Dragon, you can just put the Wartail Dragon on the board. That right there is 8,300 damage. So if the only thing you have to clear out of the way is like, if you've let traps down the board and your opponent's only got one monster, you can just go into this, clear it out, and it's game. Provided your opponent doesn't have like Battle Fated, like I said earlier. We've also got Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Dragon, which again there is an OTK with this as well. Basically, what you do is for your tomb, most people, if you do go for the if you do have the Darkness Metal in deck, you grab the Darkness Metal out and you can just throw them into attack position, because you're just going to rank up into this, and at the start of the battle phase you're going to activate this. It will revert Darkness Metal back to 2,800, and so having used it to revert Darkness Metal and Darkness Metal to bring out Wartail Dragon, once again that's 8,300, and if you have traps done and your opponent's got no monsters, you're going to smash them for 6. And then for the third and final rank 8, I run Felgrand as an option to go into by ranking up Bouncer. They pretty much do the same thing. You probably could consider this to be like a sort of a downgrade, because Bouncer can negate stuff, same with Felgrand, but Bouncer burns for 1,000, whereas Felgrand can also be used for your own monsters and protect them. So it's basically just dependent on the situation. I mean, if you want to stick with the Bouncer, then go right ahead. If you want to make that Felgrand, then just know that you can Astral Force this thing into your Felgrand and then basically go on some plays. So that's it for the extra deck. I do have a side deck. I might as well show it off. It's a bit kind of crummy and not like 100% polished. But this is basically what I got. I got a couple of Core Chimera Drago. This is just for Evil Swarms pretty much. This in combo with Lance basically means even if they do drop Heliotrope, you just flip Lance and you hit them for some damage. This basically just says fuck off to Ophion, because Ophion pretty much auto kills this deck. We have Electric Virus, because it is nice. Is it actually quite nice if you're going up against like a mirror match and you drop something like a Max C, and they just sit on something like an Attunement and decide to not do anything else. You can just then proceed to go on the next turn, steal that Attune, and then get your own plays off without having to used like your normal summon mainly. But the thing is, like like most good players though, if they play Hieratics, they will probably go for the M7. Like if they're building some sort of variant like this. But the point is, it's there to steal shit, especially like if you, like I said, if you are playing something like the mirror match. If they've got something like a Sue or something like that just sitting on the field, you can just feel free to take it and do your own plays with it. So it's really, really quite nice. And it's really easy to overlay the monster that you take so that your opponent can't get it back. Then one Max C, one Veiler, because the other Max Cs, this would be a Max C, but my other two Max Cs are in my Raccoon deck, so the Veiler's just sort of sitting there. Let's just pretend that that's a Max C. And the thing is, I don't really want to pay $20 for freaking Super Rare 10 Promo Max Cs. It's ridiculous. That's why I've only got this and the other two. So then we got Xyz Encore. Again, it says screwed at Ophion because it's just ew. Then 3 MST to deal with annoying shit like, I don't know, macro sort of stuff, vanities. Mistake is an asshole. You know, it's a thing. Then Double Heraldry Record, which is pretty much like a trap version of Xyz Encore in a way, in that it's very difficult to get around. Like with Xyz Encore, it's impossible to get around because nothing can be chained to it. But in this, the only way that this can be stopped is if they had like 7 tools, or more relatively, like if they wiretap this. Basically what it does is when the effective opponent's Xyz monster is activated by detaching its own Xyz materials, you negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. So it has one slight advantage over Xyz Encore, where in the fact of, like, if you play this against an Ophion, your opponent does not have a monster on the board. Whereas if you chain Xyz Encore to Ophion, they'll have a monster. They'll still have the Pandemic. This just says no to the Pandemic, period. And they can't even chain the Pandemic because it is a counter trap, which is quite nice. And then we have a couple of heavy slumps because Max C hurts this deck, and so if I know going up against a deck that I know has Max C, if I have this, I can just go on. I can just proceed to go on my plays as much as I want to. It would not matter to me because they're going to have a shit ton of cards in hand, and then as soon as I flip this up, as soon as they go draw phase, I flip this up, they're going to go minus probably 8. They're going to go at least -6 with this card. So I quite like it. I think I got it off once against Dracossack. I'm not even sure if I did it, if that was actually accurate or something like that, but it was a bit of a thing. So and I think it actually did work out. I think I made him scoop or something like that, but I can't remember the entirety of it, probably because I'm tired as all hell and I've got bloody shit to do tomorrow morning. So but with that done and dust, but with that said, we've reached the end of the deck list video. Am I going to build something like this to an optimizer for locals? Yes, probably. I want to give my vanilla Dragon Rulers a crack though, but one of these days I will take the Astral Force Hieratics to a local and see how it goes. I think the last time I took Hieratics, like in a more pure form, I kind of sucked at it, but it is what it is. But that's pretty much something for a future which I can't really predict, so that's pretty much it. See you for whatever it is that I do next.